Hi guys, welcome back to another new exciting video on my channel. This week we are starting a brand new exciting series where now that I'm back in Harvard for the spring semester, we'll be interviewing some of the best professors here within the Harvard ecosystem and share their knowledge and insights to you, to a wider audience. Now, this is the first episode of an exciting new series, and we're going to get the opportunity to sit down with some of the top professors from across the Harvard ecosystem to unpack big ideas and real-world leadership insight. Today's guest is Professor Amy Edmondson, a Harvard Business School legend and one of the world's leading thinkers on teams, leadership, and the science of failure. So if you're early in your career, this will help you build confidence, speak up, and navigate high-stakes environments. And if you're a more seasoned leader, you'll learn how to create cultures that perform at the highest level without fear or blame. This is practical, research-backed wisdom from one of the best in the game. Let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome to this interview with Professor Amy Edmondson. As already mentioned in the intro, the professor here is very accomplished and we've got some specific questions that we hope will help you, the audience, no matter what stage you are in your career, whether it's early stage, mid stage, or a senior leader of an organization. So first things first, Professor, thank you so much for the time today.
It's a pleasure.
The first question, Professor, is around finding your voice early on in your career. So we have people that will watch this video that are maybe 18, 19, 20, 21 in the early stages of their career. And they'll be thinking about, well, how can I project a voice despite not having as much experience? How would you help those people early on in their career on how to find their voice?
I think when you say how to find your voice, that could mean one of two things. And so we'll talk about both of them. One is, how do you find what you really care about? You know, what you care enough about or passionate enough about to be willing to speak about it and to hope and try to influence people. We'll come back to that. The other is, how do you find your voice in any given work situation where you have a concern, you have a question, you have a dissenting view, and do you speak up about it, or do you sort of wait and see and hold it to yourself? And I think both of those are important questions. The second question is the thing I've spent much of my research career focused on. Right? And so I'll just say, first of all, you're not alone. Like most people, young and old, will err on the side of holding back. Like will err on the side of not using their voice in situations where they're just not quite sure that their voice will be well received. That's a mistake. In fact, people need to realize how absolutely important their voice is. Now, I'm not saying every single time that your thoughts will change the game.
Sure.
But there will be times when your thoughts will change the game, when you will have spotted a flaw in a plan that no one else saw, or when you need help and you need to ask for it so that you don't make a preventable failure going downstream. So you've got to lean into the reality that in a volatile, uncertain, complex world, you must err on the side of speaking up, not holding back. And that's unnatural, and it feels unnatural. But do it anyway. Like, be brave because what you have to say matters, because the results matter. And so in a way, that takes us back to the first issue, which is, how do you sort of connect with what you really care about? And I don't have a perfect playbook for that, but other than take the time to pause and think, like, what do I care about? You know, who am I and why am I here? What is it that I would like to make a small difference in my life, in my career? And then never lose sight of the fact that that matters. And in order to make that difference you seek to make, you've got to be willing to use your voice.
Thank you. I mean, that's already super actionable for our viewers, and having that courage and conviction, no matter which stage of your career, probably even more important in the early stages, to move forward, give your view and give your viewpoint, which is clearly appreciated.
Yeah, and I want to make sure it's like you don't have to be convinced, right? So don't wait, because I think many people will not speak up unless they really have that confidence that what they have to say is going to be useful. No, like err on the side of speaking up, even though you're not sure if it will be useful. So speak more often, because learning is a team sport.
Sure.
We need to learn together. So I may be right, I may be wrong, I may have conviction, I may not have conviction, but just lean into learning together anyway.
I love that phrase, learning is a team sport, Professor. And actually, this gives a nice segue to the next question of learning in a team sport and the team dynamic, especially the team dynamic in the modern world that we're all living in now. And the question that we had on this is around psychological safety in the digital age. So we are going through our careers, we've learned this skill of speaking up, of giving our opinion, and now we're transitioning into a leadership role. But now it seems like today we can never switch off. And just when you think you can switch on, Slacks is available, Teams is available, WhatsApp chats. We've seen recently Signal, for example. In this period that we're in now, in this modern age, how do we provide the opportunity to have psychological safety in the digital age as well?
Well, I think first you must recognize that it is harder. Like its psychological safety has taken a hit on the digital age. That it's, first of all, when we are working in a way that's mediated through communication technology rather than face to face, like you and I are now, we will naturally be even more reluctant to share tentative thoughts. And so just know that that's a risk factor. And then design as a team, how are we going to overcome that, right? Because what you don't want is preventable failures. What you don't want is people who are struggling and not getting the help they need, or ideas that are just not being heard because who has the time. So you need to decide, how are we going to engineer our team such that we do find ways to hear from people, i.e. we build psychological safety, and which really to me means make it easier, lower the threshold for voice, make it easier for people to contribute their thoughts, their questions, their concerns, when we know for sure it's not so easy in a digital reality.
And maybe a quick question to build on that about providing the space and opportunities for people to contribute even more.
Yeah.
If there's a leader of an organization, or maybe it's your own business, etc., and you open up that space to receive even more contribution, naturally it may not be possible to respond to everyone or even hear everyone because of the volume of input. So how do you think there's a way where it can be balanced, where you open up for, while also ensuring that everyone is respected and valued and their contribution is appreciated?
I mean, I don't have a magic wand.
Sure.
Right. So part of the answer to that very good question is, wow, that's not easy to do. So that's a design problem.
Sure.
Whenever something isn't easy, it isn't just a quick, have a checklist or whatever. It's then that means we have to really talk about this. Like we have to figure out in our context for the work we do, for the size of our team or the nature of our team, what processes and practices are going to help us achieve our goals and ensure that we've got the ideas, the concerns that we need, to do a good job. And so it seems counterintuitive, but structure is your friend. I mean, we love agility. We love sort of learning and teaming and all this crazy stuff. And yet I would argue that learning and agility and teaming happen best when we have structures, right? Whether those are, weekly stand-up meetings or, a particular way we use Slack or what have you, but it's got to be as deliberate as possible so that we can, we can increase the chances that we get what we need.
And that word, being deliberate, having intention, this is actually the final theme that we wanted to pick up on today, which is around leading with intention through fatigue, potentially, or an area where we recognize that we're going through a period of change, but we have that renewal and hope for a renewal that's coming up. And I think nowadays with teams getting bigger, more hybrid, as we mentioned, some of the digital tools also, how can you balance the challenge of leading with optimism while there is a lot of things going on and energy levels and distributed teams and investors' expectations, the list goes on, right? So how would you recommend for leaders that they can lead through these periods of change and energy towards a renewal of hope?
It has been said that a leader's job is to paint reality and produce hope. And yes, indeed, those are intention. Because oftentimes when we paint reality, if I tell you what we're up against and how challenging this is and how no one's ever done this before, pretty soon hope flies out the window, right?
It does.
So then what's the rational case for hope? And I think it's usually found in something like, yep, this is going to be challenging. This is challenging. And when I look around the room or when I think about the members of this team, I feel hopeful because I'm moved by the skills we have and the good intentions we have and the sort of the fact that all of us are better than any one of us, right? So you can put it however you want. It has to be sincere, but find a rationale for why we should be hopeful, even though the situation is challenging and we're exhausted, right? And I think it just makes people feel heard, feel recognized, and sit up a little straighter and realize that they matter.
That's a perfect way to close this interview, Professor. I think you left so much knowledge on the table and on the video for us. I think for the people that are viewing this, if they wanted to learn more, hopefully, and I'm sure many of them have heard of you already, but if there was a way that they wanted to find more information on your work, etc., where would you recommend?
Well, they can go to amycedmondson.com. And what I would really love them to do is read my most recent book, Right Kind of Wrong, The Science of Failing Well, because it's really a story of how do we manage complexity and uncertainty? How do we navigate the real challenges that we face, knowing that there will be failures, but let's make them the right kind of wrong, and let's learn as much as we can from them, and let's indeed make it a team sport.
Amazing. Well, Professor, thank you so much for the time. As already mentioned, it's been a few years I watched your videos while at Novartis and together with leaders and mentors, and they all spoke very highly about your work, and also people that consume that content, I think, really got a lot from it, especially during periods of change. So to come full circle, be a student here at Harvard and experience this energy in person, it's been really appreciated. So thank you so much for the time. On behalf of the viewers and the people that will take value from this, thank you also from them, and I look forward to continuing to support your work and seeing all the amazing things you go on to achieve.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here with you.